They might be self-aware.
Gary here, professional voice actor, currently conducting business from this luxury phone booth that smells like cigarettes and broken dreams. Today on They Might Be Self-Aware, Hunter thinks self-driving cars won't happen for 20 years because politicians hate firing people, unlike podcast hosts who pay in loose change. Daniel discovers AI salespeople will negotiate circles around humans, while I can barely convince a vending machine to take my crumpled dollar. And the boys explore Deadbots, AI that lets you chat with deceased relatives. Finally, competition I can beat since I'm technically still breathing. Living the dream, one payphone quarter at a time. Enjoy the show.
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service.
Running wild through the Silicon Psyche. You must be listening to They Might Be Self-Aware. I am Hunter Powers, joined by
Daniel Bishop. Hello, Hunter Powers.
Hello, Daniel Bishop. You know, I just got off the phone. I got off the phone with Gary. He's the guy we hired to do the voice intros. I don't know. Have you heard any of his?
Gary.
Gary's a character. I don't know. He wants a raise. we pay him $47 an episode, which feels fair to me. Do you feel? I mean, we don't make any money.
Yeah.
Why should Gary make money? But the dude's, I don't know. I guess he's out on his luck. We wish Gary.
Everyone's trying to make a buck.
He's down in the comments now too. So if you want to talk with I was like, Gary, if you want to, you can take over our comments and I can pay you for that.
Letting him loose on it, yeah.
Yeah, I think we give him like $5 a comment or something.
That's a lot. And if you want $5 a comment, please go to the disclaimer. What I just said was nonsense.
We were actually disagreeing in the last episode. It was a rare cliffhanger ending. We try to resolve things, but sometimes there are.
You know what's going to be hanging over some cliffs? Human drivers in cars who are driving poorly.
We were talking about self-driving and when it becomes sort of finally regulated, who's going to make that final push? And
the actual final push is laws. Like that's
legislation.
How that's going to be, right? Yeah, there will be legislation that says ain't no people allowed on public roads anymore, or what have you.
And part of your thesis or argument was that as part of this push, insurance companies will be behind it because with self-driving, there should be less collisions. And that sounds like less claims on insurance, less times they have to pay out.
That's my presumption, yes.
Now, are you?
And it's going to start on like highways and certain lanes. Like, okay, just like the HOV lane, here's the automatic auto, whatever lane. You can be asleep in the trunk if you feel like it. Or, wake up whenever you get out of that lane and you have to take over the car. But then it's going to be 2 lanes. Then it's going to be all of the lanes that you're allowed to. And then it's going to be, well, this lane is now reserved for meat people. And that's the dangerous lane because they get into 3.7x as many accidents as a robot would. And I'm really focusing on the highways here because I think that's where it starts.
Yeah. So I think I ended the episode saying I couldn't disagree more before you cut me off and said, "Well, wait till the next."
Now
episode.
You've come around, and you're 100%.
No, I am angrier and
more upset.
Look, I want to tease my thesis here. There is an idea in medicine that when we talk about the medical industry, especially in America, that we don't like cures, we like treatments. And it's, I guess, a little bit of a conspiracy theory, but the idea is you don't make a lot of money on the cure, you make a lot of money on the treatment. And self-driving is a cure. It ain't no treatment.
You're saying like if someone has cancer, you could cure the cancer once and get $100,000, or you could treat the cancer forever for a grand sum of $500,000.
Yes. So if all we're doing is optimizing for long-term profit, you should not invest your money in the cure. You should invest your money in the treatment. If this is a business, we have shareholder value to preserve and to maximize and optimize and to do some hill climbing on. That's what you do. So self-driving will be a cure, not a treatment. And another thing that I think is going to happen once self-driving does become truly widespread and basically approved everywhere, there's going to be far fewer cars on the road. Right? Like that's one of the things. If there's just always a car on demand and it's super low cost, the amount of people who need a car, the amount of families who need multiple cars, because that car can drive you to work and then drive your kid to school and then circle back around and pick you up and go by the grocery store where they'll load the order in. You will not need as many vehicles, whether you still need to own one or don't. It's got to have a drastic reduction in the number of cars on the road when it truly becomes widespread. And that means less insurance business. So less claims means they have to charge you less because there will be more competition. You can offer insurance for less, and there's going to be less cars on the road. Short insurance stocks right now. Official financial advice signed off by Hunter and Daniel in blood. Nope. What?
By Hunter, maybe, but not Daniel. I do think I can see kind of where you're going, where like if we went in the direction of more public transit, too, for example,
yes,
you don't need as many people with cars. Even if that public transit were just a bunch of cars going around instead of buses and trains and trams and what have you. Sure. Okay. I can see that. And less cars being insured means less money for the insurance companies. So yeah, I definitely could see that as one potential sort of long-term implication. But in America, we sure do love our cars. And I don't see that drastically changing just because of the way our national infrastructure, the way that our cities have all been designed. So I think the cars are here to stay, whether or not you own them or lease them or just.
I think just as
nobody buying the car.
There's a lot of families that have multiple cars. I think that number is going to go down. The amount that, because you just don't need it. And it's more convenient. The one car drives you, picks you up, coordinates everything. Parking's annoying. It's just going to stop right in front of your door, let you get out. It'll go home and park. It'll go run your errands for you. It'll go pick people up for you. So let's just still assume you own one. You won't even want.
This is the Elon Musk promise of in the far distant future of 2021 or so, your car is going to be driving itself around as a taxi, picking people up, getting you that passive.
Well, even separate from the passive income, that's another sort of cool angle of it. I'm just saying the average family today that owns more than one vehicle will own fewer vehicles in the future. Not to mention just the general need. I'm suggesting the general need to own a vehicle will also decrease because, like, if Uber was free, far fewer people would own a vehicle. If we just start there, if Uber was free, because Uber's a pretty good service. There are times when you still want to drive yourself, but I feel like a lot of the time, if Uber was free, they just come and pick me up, drive me, and it was super convenient. And then now it's even more private because there isn't another person in the car. It's just driving me around that. And so it's not going to be free, but it is going to be cheaper than Uber is today.
Well, and so come back around to where's your thesis statement of how does this end up being the path towards self-driving? You're just talking about how it isn't maybe driven by insurance companies. So what is the end state here? How do we get to it's the full self-driving future? Insurance may have tried to stop it, but now we have less cars on the road and they are automated and we have less people getting into wrecks and this and this and this. What is your perceived path? How does this get turned into laws of people aren't allowed to even drive anymore?
So when it happens, I think it's going to have to come from our government, from Congress. We need a new law that effectively indemnifies the makers of the cars and create some sort of a national insurance policy, because there's this whole problem of when the AI does kill people,
it's Medicaid
who's to
for
blame?
Cars.
And because the government's going to
for people.
Yes, Medicaid for cars. I love it. That's how it's going to ultimately happen. But I have another thing here as part of my prediction. I thought this was going to happen relatively soon, because I think the technology is close enough to say relatively soon. My new thesis is this is 20 to 25 years away. Mm-hmm. And the reason is I think that we are going to artificially hold it up because, as you have noted, the dramatic impact that this will have on our economy from a reduction of jobs, we're not going to allow the laws to be passed at a national level. State level, people running tests, that's going to continue. But the new nationwide law that says, okay, self-driving cars are legal basically everywhere nationally. I guess a state could still have a special restriction on it. It's not happening. We're not going to put a law into effect that overnight takes away 15% of the jobs. It's not going to happen. It's going to take 20 years to slowly, snail's pace. The technology is going to get there. People are going to be continuing to, you can use it when there's a human sitting in the seat like a dumb slub. That's me in my Tesla. I just sit there while it drives me all around.
One finger
that's okay.
in each nostril, just kind of.
That's okay.
All right, that's the dumb slub, I believe was the.
I think
term
that was the term I used. Maybe I regret that term, calling myself a dumb slub. I did see a story this was in China about some jobs going away, some more jobs going away. These were basically like QVC salespeople, except online, selling stuff. So. Virtual.
It's 24-hour a day. Here I am showing you a new rice maker or a fan or a whatever. Order now and you'll get 10% off. Like that sort of experience.
Yes.
It's going away because of AI.
Apparently, they're having a lot of success using AI generated personas to live, by the way, promote these products as well as engage with the audience via comments. This had already been
a perfect fit for this technology, honestly, because as I just said, it's a 24/7 sort of channel. You're just going through a very repetitive sort of process, but then being able to live engage constantly forever with an audience about the thing that you're doing. It feels like a pretty obvious fit here.
I say we need to bring back the ShamWow guy.
I don't know if these Chinese counterparts are quite as enthusiastic. And, there's the, I just remember seeing the gifs of a guy taking a patch of something, slapping it against the water.
That tape. There's a giant hole. Right. Gallons are flowing out. So slap it. And then I think there's his boat is sinking and he slaps it.
I really like those. I don't even remember who it was or what the thing is called. I think it might be FlexTape. But the point is, forget selling handbags and portable air conditioners or whatever it is. I think that a huge, it's literally where it starts, because you just pointed out that this is a thing that's being now done in China. I'm really curious when it comes to salespeople, how much that's going to expand beyond that. Because what if you were trying to buy a car and you've already looked online and you've done some research and maybe talked to a chatbot or two, and you want to go and test drive the vehicle? There's going to be a person, a real live meat person, who's going to go sit in the vehicle with you and make sure that you don't, drive off with it. And they'll be telling you about the features of the car along the way. But then comes the worst part of being at a dealership, which is, let me go and talk to my boss and see and they're not doing anything. You're just sitting there for 15 minutes getting madder while they're having a coffee break. And then they come back. We put $25 off the break. Get out of here. Then you have to leave. No, don't leave. Come back. I'll give you the real price this time. And you have to do that 3 or 4 times. That could be automated, right? Why not instead? Honestly, the better solution is no car dealerships. Do what Tesla or Rivian or whoever does, where it's you see the price online, you say, yes, I will take that vehicle. And there's none of this haggling crap. But if you're going to have all the haggling crap, why not have a robot do it for you? I think that'd be very interesting.
People would be more or less upset negotiating with a robot versus the human?
It'd probably take a lot less time.
So is that a less upset because there's
I think less upset, because even if you're getting a raw deal from the robot, at least you could then say, well, I know that I got it and it only took me 5 minutes and I didn't have to waste my whole afternoon at a dealership with some sleazy looking guy in a cheap suit who's make sure to get you the, no, to obviate that bad process away sounds awesome.
Now, do you have any moral or ethical quandaries?
Like a person at the end. It'd be the general manager who can only sell so many cars per hour. And so he still could say, like, the robot has already gone through and negotiated, and the person's about to walk out the door because the sensor noticed them get up out of their seat and start moving or whatever. And we gave him this price. We know what our margins are. I need your approval to take an extra 5% off. Approve or disapprove. Approve. Hey, wait, hold on. Like, it could just be that simple.
Do you have any moral or ethical quandaries about training the AI to basically maximize the amount of money that you can convince some old lady to take out of her?
I don't have any qualms about that because the people who work there are already trained to do that.
Yes, but what if they're not nearly as good as the AI is at doing it?
Then what you're if the providing a valuable service as the service provider who made that AI to the car dealership company.
I do feel like we've discovered another
economy. You did it.
Another business opportunity here. Someone's got to be doing it, but the idea would be like real time. There's that Cluely company, I think it is, that was like cheat on every test, using our AI and like apply to any job. We should create one for automobile dealerships, which is extract every last penny out of every old lady's purse using our AI in your ear.
And then make a sister company to that, which is we'll be the version of that, but for the buyer who goes and negotiates against their AI as an expert negotiator to save you as many dollars as possible.
Well, that has to be the inevitable outcome, is just two AIs negotiating back and forth between each other. As I've mentioned before on this show, I already actively leverage AI in almost all of my negotiations, including some that are largely automated, whether it's a Facebook marketplace, eBay. Anytime I have the opportunity to haggle, job offers, I quickly go to the AI and let it do its doing. So I do think that's kind of an L. It's just two AI. It's who has the better AI.
Now that is consumer to business to consumer, B2C. That's a car company selling to folks. What about like your Dunder Mifflins of the world? You're a paper company and I'm selling from my business to other businesses, and you have like weird hyper specific from one company to another contracts where none of them are exactly the same, or I'm a software as a service company and like, what's your enterprise sales thing? Well, you have to talk to a salesperson and then they come up with a completely made up number and then you say no and you negotiate back and forth. No two software as a service enterprise agreements are the same. They're just not. And
I just want to stop for a second, because I bet like the average person, if you haven't worked at like an enterprise software as a service company, you're not aware of this fact that Daniel just mentioned, which is that the price for things is oftentimes completely made up for whoever the customer is, oftentimes with no math behind it. It is the number that popped in someone's head that they just kind of gut and felt that maybe they would pay.
Yep. And then the person comes back and says, absolutely not. Oh, well, if you do a 3-year contract with us, we'll knock 20% off of the, what a steal. And like, that's how this whole process goes. And it's absolutely infuriating. And that could be made more efficient with an AI, because then you say, this is how much it costs us to provide this sort of service. Here's margins. Here's whatever.
Well, I think it's less about that. I think it's about
that.
It's about exploiting this current situation, which is you kind of make up a price that you think is the most they would possibly pay. And by the way, there is some justification behind this. What you're saying is, for different customers, our software has a different value. If you're a tiny little mom and pop store buying our program, it's worth, let's just say, $100. And if you're Google buying our program, it's worth $1 billion. So we shouldn't charge the same price, even though the product is the same. It costs us the same to produce it and support it. We'll assume that's not necessarily true. Let's assume that it's called value-based pricing. But to your point, couldn't the AI do a better job of extracting the maximum value, like up to the point of right where there's an idea in economics called consumer surplus, which is when you purchase something and you would have paid more, and that amount more that you would have paid for something, that is the consumer surplus. And so as the seller, you want to minimize that surplus, where the amount of money I'm paying you is exactly equal to the value that you're delivering me, because that's the most you would possibly pay. So, yeah.
And every person will be different. And so from a business to business perspective, having virtual salespeople that reach out, and they can still talk to humans at the business. And there's someone who's, signing off at the end, at least for the next couple of years. And then they get to sign off in it themselves, I suppose. But imagine, hey, software as a service company or physical goods company, I need to get 10,000 widgets and we need it in this amount of time. And we have to have these standard operating procedures and deliveries have to be on Tuesdays and you have to X, Y, and Z. And like, imagine the entire contract poofs into existence like something out of a Disney cartoon where the guy just like unfurls in midair. Wham! You've got the paper right there. And it's got all the stuff that you asked for, and you have all of your key performance indicators added in and your bonuses and your if you don't pay on time, we'll charge you an extra, whatever. But like, if all of that just existed, and then you could also negotiate back and forth with that, or have your AI negotiate back and forth. Like maybe this is just me coming from a place of not enjoying the sales process in general. I'm not a sales person. Surprise, surprise. I would like if that wasn't a thing. I don't know what percentage of the US workforce does sales for a living, but it's probably not no percent of it. And so imagine if that starts to get eroded along top the 10-ish% that drives stuff for a living.
The software that you just described, the AI that you just described, it's my strong suspicion that nothing close to that exists today. There's certainly chatbots to help you and do things, and there's AI built into Microsoft Excel, et cetera, to help you work on these spreadsheets. But
I've worked on contract analysis and contract making. Like the pieces of this are all coalescing together. If what I described doesn't exist yet, it will in under 2 years, for sure.
That's my question is why doesn't it exist? Is what we're describing science fiction?
That's us. We're going to do.
Is it science fiction, or could you deliver this? Or is what we're describing beyond the grasp of current modern day AI?
I don't think so. I really don't.
So either.
Because if you've got access to, here is my company's, bottom of the barrel, this is our cost of goods sold plus our overhead plus our whatever. Like this, you can't sell X under Y dollars. Okay, great. We just got reached out to by a prospective client. They want a demo. I can schedule the demo for you. It's now scheduled. You go, humans go do the demo. I won't even touch that yet. Humans do the demo. Wow, we're interested. Can you draft up a whatever for a first pass at a such and such? Boop, immediately done, emailed. Oh, we didn't like it because of X, Y, and Z. We need this to be cheaper. We need these specific key terms changed. Draft changes, send off to human manager. Is this good? Yes, it's good. Email, review, back and forth with like multiple people's jobs, frankly, just evaporated out of this process. You could make it smoother. You could make it so much faster. I've never shied away from saying that I think that this AI revolution is going to get rid of a lot of jobs, but I had been thinking outside of this sort of realm for a while. Yeah. Now I do think that a lot of white collar jobs are dramatically at risk in the near future.
In most organizations, the highest paid people are the salespeople. This includes technology organizations where you have all of these engineers making giant salaries.
Yeah.
The top salespeople are making more. Which, by the way, makes sense because they're the ones bringing the money in. Now, I'm not arguing they shouldn't be making this money.
Commissions and their bonuses and so on.
Right. We're constantly looking at what jobs could we cut to save money? Who's making the most money? The salespeople. Hey, take that. Stop looking at us computer folks, us programmer folks saying you can get rid of us. What about you salespeople?
Yeah, we're coming for you next.
You need us computer people in order to get rid of the salespeople.
Now, there is another thing that I wanted to talk about in terms of like getting rid of, it's not jobs, but it is replacing people. Yeah, so people that are not part of the workforce, not children.
Non-children.
Not going in that direction. I want to go in the opposite direction. The
elderly?
Retirees. Yeah, the elderly. I'm coming after you, the elderly. No, even farther than that. Once you're post-elderly, once you are post-life, post this mortal coil, once you're deceased, and I think I've talked a little bit about this.
You're going to corner the market on the deceased?
I'm going to corner the market on the dead. I'm going to be a modern day necromancer.
You heard it here first, folks.
Neuromancer, great book. I do think that, like, I may have talked a little bit about this in the past, where if you have enough audio, enough video, enough text of like a person and their interactions and their life and their stories and so on, we are already at the point where technology can make a reasonable-ish facsimile of them. And we've already seen digital avatars. You just talked about they're selling stuff in China now.
Right. A couple have even appeared in court.
Yeah, right. And there was someone who got killed who's, like, I think his sister or whatever brought the fake version of that person into court. Wild. Now there are some other companies that are, there's this article calls it Deadbots. I don't know if that's the term that's going to catch on.
I hadn't heard this term before.
Yeah, I hadn't heard it either. So
you don't like the term.
The one that I don't. There's a lot of terms. I don't like calling stuff AI slop. Anything that's AI, people are just, it's AI slop. Look,
You're
there's
just skibbity toilet.
So Deadbots,
yes.
People say, we will take the stories that grandma used to tell and the videos and the images and audio and so on, and then make your deceased relative not come back to life, but like a chatbot of grandma that you could go talk to, or a chatbot. Imagine it could be like public figure who has become deceased. And there's a lot of like weird moral quandary type stuff there, and probably a bunch of legality type things of using someone's likeness and so on. But I don't know, the article says that this is primed to be an $80 billion a year industry in a decade. Speaking of made up numbers in the service world, I think that's pretty made up. I do also think, though, that as we start to see someone wheeling into court a laptop with what looks like someone's dead relative in it, saying like, well, I may have been murdered, but I don't want there to be any gun laws about it or something, like, this is just going to, not just in a legality related sense, but I think we're going to see this become normalized. Not in 10 years, not in 20 years, in like 2 generations, it will then become less weird.
Wait, how long is 2 generations?
I don't know, what's that like? What's a generation, like 20 something years? Give or take?
So 40 years?
Yeah, I'm saying like 40 to 50 years from now, not like 4 to 5 years. It would be not seen as weird to be like, oh yeah, grandpa passed 10 years ago, but we can go talk to him if you want. If you were to say that now, I think nearly everybody's going to be super skeeved out. But that's because we haven't seen this new technology yet. I'm not saying it's a good thing or a healthy thing, but I am saying that it's going to be a thing. We're already seeing it be a thing. And I think it's going to be normalized over the next decades, to the point where people then are like, yeah, no, we can go talk to my ancestors at the family shrine. I can literally go talk to them.
Right. So we can kind of do this today. 50 years. That's a long time.
Like, obviously, the technology is fantastic at that point, but I'm saying it's less.
It's just commonplace. Like
right. Because right now we could make a version of, I can talk to grandpa, but 50 years from now, not only is it going to be so good, it's functionally indistinguishable much of the time of looking at someone on a screen versus looking at a, replicant on a screen or what have you. It's more about, this will have been around long enough that people aren't revulsed when they see it. They're more like, it has become a normal thing in my family to keep the AI version of them around post-death so that you can reminisce with them or consult them for their views on things.
Yeah, the idea that's always in my head is just
rice makers.
You sit down to have dinner and you're wearing your augmented reality glasses.
Sure.
This technology exists today. And you see the person across from you, and they appear to be engaging in the meal as well. Of course, it's all...
And they're just as problematic as ever, and they're bringing up those things at Thanksgiving that you really wish that they wouldn't.
Yes.
Just like she's still there.
And both completely digital and artificial beings, as well as these ones that have been recreated from people that you actually knew.
It's sitting next to your dead grandmother is your anime wife.
Who's come over from the X network. We can almost do this today. You can kind of hack it together today, just not with
like a service, right? And
pure,
then the NFT guys are going to get into it and they're going to be like, well, there's only one version of your digital soul. All the other ones are like fake copies. And
would you sell your digital soul, Daniel?
Yeah, sure.
To the highest bidder?
To any of them. Why not? So I do think that there's going to be people who try to sell showing this is authentic. There's only one version of your, I'm going to keep using the like dead grandmother sort of like analogy here. I think that there's going to be a lot of like, well, no, there's only one version of it, even though it's a program and you could just copy it. But people will try to go to lengths to say there can only definitely be just the one of it, you know, like NFTs. And then there will also be some guy in a back alley with like the trench coat being like, you want a bunch of famous people? You can talk to any of them. And that will be at people's fingertips too. It'll be both ways, but there's going to be like a whole industry around this has the seal of authenticity. It's cryptum quanto encrypted where there's only definitely one of it.
I'm just glad to know that the sketchy man in the trench coat that hides in the alley is not being replaced by AI on this inevitable path towards self-awareness.
We still have that. We still have that.
we can hold on to that one thing. The sketchy dude in the trench coat's not going anywhere.
Fake Rolexes.
Breaking news.
Job.
Breaking news right here on They Might Be Self-Aware. Daniel, if people want more incredible insights, especially they want to follow the stories of the men in the trench coat, where can they do this? How can they stay up to date?
You cannot ask your ancestors yet about us because unfortunately we haven't uploaded them into the cloud. What you could do is go visit the cloud, like cloud as in heaven where the angels with the little harps are and everything. Yes. It turns out, same cloud as cloud computing. Cloud computing exists in heaven, and you heard it here first. But in heaven / cloud, the cloud,
I don't know where you're going.
Apple Podcasts. I would look, some of these segues are better than others. Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, and YouTube. We've got YouTube longs, as they call them. We've got YouTube shorts. The existence of YouTube shorts implies the existence of YouTube longs. We're on TikTok. We're probably some other places too. If you've got like a weird, nobody's heard of it before RSS feeder, get us in there. Maybe we're probably in there. We're on a bunch of different feeds and stuff. Go into the comments and tell us where you found us from, especially if it's one of the weird places. We'd love to know.
Gary is there waiting to respond, so that we'll give him $5. $5. That's a really good. I feel like I was very generous with that $5.
Is Gary real? I meant to ask that.
They might be self-aware.